cheap shot that was.
Hello. It's been a while since we've done a podcast for Cheap Shot Entertainment, and the confession sessions or quick shot or whatever I called it before. Talk is cheap. That's what I called it. Talk is cheap. I'm here with my very, very good friend Josh.
Hello.
And we're going to be shooting the breeze. We're going to be talking wrestling, and I've learned something, along the way. Since I've been helping out with Aspire, that wrestling and horror movies go hand in hand. And I kind of already knew this. You've got characters like The Undertaker.
Yep.
Characters like Bray Wyatt and The Fiend. You've always had characters that show horror elements and even some storylines. Sting, yeah. Used The Crow.
Yeah.
Good. Another good, very good film. Well, we're going to talk wrestling first, so let's I'm just going to go on my internet connection, and well, it's the 25th of October, isn't it?
It is.
Today.
Hell in
Yeah.
a Cell tonight.
Hell in a Cell is tonight, and Hell in a Cell has brought us a lot of goodness. It really has. I mean, you think back to the very first Hell in a Cell, what happened? Come on, Josh.
Mankind got thrown off, didn't he?
Not the first one.
Was that not the first one?
No.
Which one was the first one?
The very first one was Undertaker Shawn Michaels.
Of course it was, yeah.
What happened?
Don't remember.
You don't remember?
No, is that the one where Kane
Yeah.
debuted? Yeah.
Your very favourite footballer in the whole world.
Yeah.
Harry Kane turned up and ripped the cell door off. It's brought us some fantastic moments, hasn't it?
Yeah, Hell in a Cell was a very good gimmick.
What do you think about it going as an annual pay-per-view?
I think that the annual pay-per-views for the match stipulations are stupid. I think they should just put them in as and when and go with that old naming of the pay-per-views and just have
Yeah.
like the odd Hell in a Cell, the odd TLC, not just have them like that's the pay-per-view for it.
Yeah.
I don't think it works.
I absolutely agree with you, and it's kind of lost its sheen, hasn't it? Like the TLC matches, like you mentioned,
Yeah.
the ladder matches, the Hell in a Cell match, big time, Elimination Chamber. That was always a fantastic thing to look forward to.
Yeah.
And now you're going to get one every single year. And don't get me wrong, the matches have actually been decent for the most part, since they've done the individual pay-per-views named after stipulations, but I think one of the worst ones is Extreme Rules,
Yeah.
because when you had an Extreme Rules match or a no holds barred match, I mean, I've
It
been
was
watching,
special, wasn't it?
yeah, I've been watching a lot of old school wrestling for Cheap Shot Entertainment, so check that out on YouTube. Been watching through the year 2000.
Yeah, I noticed on Cheap Shot I saw a couple of them. Didn't you do No Mercy last?
Yeah, because I've been releasing them on the day they were released 20 years ago. So the next one, which I have watched, will be Survivor Series. And in terms of the timeline for this year, the next pay-per-view is Survivor Series on the 22nd of November. And there's plenty to go at with the year 2000 in comparison. And whenever they did a stipulation match, it meant something. Even to a point where it was a cage match. It was a grudge. The only way to separate them, the only way to decide what was going to happen, the only way to decide the feud would be to put them in a cage and let them beat each other up.
Yeah.
Now we go into Hell in a Cell 2020, and we're looking at the third match between the champion, Universal Champion. The Universal Champion is WWE Champion.
What, Roman Reigns?
No,
Drew McIntyre.
Drew McIntyre's the WWE champion,
Yeah,
isn't he?
WWE.
Go into the WWE Championship match. It is the WWE champion, Drew McIntyre. Love Drew McIntyre.
He's got a really good run going at the minute.
I have seen him live, and he is absolutely epic. Incidentally, someone that you may have forgotten about, he was going against Ricochet in that match, and that was in Nottingham, in a local city near me, for the forgotten What Culture Pro Wrestling, the independent scene. But I do think that got too big, and it sort of got too big for itself. So they had to stop because they were ended up paying a lot of money to wrestlers to come and do matches like that. But he was phenomenal. He's getting his feet now. I like the. What do you think of the attitude change for Drew McIntyre?
He's all right. He needed it. He needed something to give him an edge, didn't he? And he's got an edge now.
Yeah, he was playing the Happy Giant, wasn't he?
Mm.
The Happy Giant hulking man from Scotland. I'm surprised they didn't make him come out with bagpipes and wearing a kilt. But that gimmick's already been done, hasn't it?
Yeah.
A long time ago. And one thing I can say about Randy Orton and Roman Reigns is that Randy Orton's made Drew McIntyre change face. He's made him into that badass again.
Yeah.
That he did show signs of before he won the championship, because he was a definitive heel, and then all of a sudden he was face.
Yeah, just out of nowhere, wasn't it? Just started being face.
Like an RKO. He just out of nowhere he was face. And then he won the championship at the WrestleMania where there was no fans, and that must have been it must have been a roller coaster of emotions for him. Because, there would have been a massive pop at WrestleMania, and I should have been there. And although it was a good WrestleMania this year, what did you think about WrestleMania this year?
I really enjoyed it.
Yeah,
I'll be honest with you, I really enjoyed it.
It was great. I really enjoyed WrestleMania this year, and I think you have as well. I've been really enjoying the shows without fans, to be honest.
I think it's better. It's like I use an example. Randy Orton was in a match with Angel Garza and Andrade. They were in a tag team against the Big Show, and I can't remember who else. But it was the Street Profits, and Angel Garza was pissing around, and Randy Orton got really angry, so he dragged him out of the ring and started telling him off, and you could hear Randy Orton telling off Angel Garza, and I just thought that was excellent.
Yeah.
You could actually hear what he was saying.
Yeah, you could hear the dressing down.
Yeah.
And yeah, I do like.
I
like Drew McIntyre, but they're in a Hell in a Cell match tonight, having had an ambulance match, which would back in 2000, that would have settled the feud.
Yeah.
And I think the problem that WWE have, they've got that much talent, but they've not got that much main event talent.
No, they don't use them
and
properly.
they have to build the new talent. They don't use the Intercontinental and the United States Championship as well as they should do. NXT got it down to a T. You win the North American Championship. If you lose that championship, you keep fighting for that championship until you're ready to go for the main championship. And it's worked. It worked back in 2000. There was some genuinely really good Intercontinental Championship matches.
That was China Jeff Jarrett one.
No, I would go as far as to say one of my favourite matches from the year 2000 is probably a forgotten match. It was Rikishi versus Val Venus in a steel cage, and they were fully embroiled in a feud. And the championship was changing hands back and forth. Val Venus had aligned himself with Trish Stratus at the time.
Yeah.
And it was a great match. Not only that, Rikishi climbed to the top of the cage and splashed Val Venis.
I like Val Venis.
Like Rikishi, 400 pounds. Climbing
I bet that hurt.
Willing to put your body on the line. I bet it hurt both of them.
Oh yeah, I bet it did.
Willing to put your body on the line for that. And by the end of 2000, we're just getting to the point where Rikishi is the bad man. I'm a bad man. And it didn't work as a main event player.
No, he
really
probably
didn't.
should have done, really.
He got that big, that popular for his dancing and getting his arse out that they pushed him, and he wasn't good on the mic. I did it for The Rock.
Yeah.
I did it
I
for the
remember that.
people. That they pushed him too much. It could have worked, but he's not. Like, in comparison to... In comparison to Roman Reigns, in comparison to The Rock at the time, Rikishi was not the talker.
No.
He never had to be the talker. He was just the muscle behind Too Cool.
Yeah. And do a bit of a comedy break, a bit of a dance.
Yeah, and I think WWE is suffering from the same problems now. They're having to go with the same people. Although, SmackDown, we've got Jey Uso going on to the next match.
They're getting a decent push at the minute, really, the Usos, and they always should have. They should have been fighting for singles titles.
Yeah.
Maybe not main event straight away,
But they're a fantastic tag team. I think one of my favourite Hell in a Cell matches of recent times was the Usos versus the New Day.
Yeah, that was last year, wasn't it?
And we'll talk about the New Day in a little while because they have been split up in the recent draft.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They have been split up in the recent draft. I think that's because they want to create a main event player out of Big E. But they did that with Kofi Kingston, even though they were still a tag team. They did that. And they managed to do that. So we'll talk about that in a bit anyway. But the next match is Roman Reigns versus Jey Uso in a Hell in a Cell match. I Quit.
That's very inventive. It's good.
Yeah, it's unique.
Putting
So you
two
can
together.
beat someone down so much that they have to say I quit, and it's everything that The Rock versus Rikishi should have been.
Yeah.
Bearing in mind that Rikishi was in part responsible for the running over, air commas here, air inverted commas, for the running over of Stone Cold Steve Austin along with Triple H back in 2000, and then blaming it on The Rock. That's what it should have been. That's where you could have used a Hell in a Cell match.
Yeah.
But they obviously did the Armageddon Hell in a Cell later on that year, December. That's where you could have used a stipulation. But that just sort of died, and then everyone else joined in, didn't they?
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm really digging Roman Reigns at the moment.
Like I say, putting him with Paul Heyman's a stroke of genius because he's not good on the mic.
But he is.
I don't think he... Well, he wasn't.
He is. He didn't get a chance because he was always in the team with Dean Ambrose and Seth Rollins. He was the silent giant.
He was.
He's doing it better than comparison with Rikishi. He doesn't say much, but what he does say, and he does cut a damn good promo. Remember his feud with John Cena? John Cena was cutting mad promos on him.
Yeah.
And then Roman Reigns came back. And Cena's one of the best modern promo cutters.
I can see that.
And he can adapt to it. And that's one thing about John Cena that I do like. What I don't like is his recent movie Playing with Fire.
Oh, we can argue on that one all day because that's a really good film.
It's not a good film.
It's fantastic. Watch Playing with Fire.
It's brilliant. Terrible. Do not watch Playing with Fire.
Fantastic.
You will burn your eyes out. You know that Slipknot song where it says, "I stick my fingers into my eyes. It's the only thing that takes away the pain." That is playing with fire.
Nah, it's good film.
I knew I'd make you bite with that one. Winners of those two matches. Who do you think?
Well, Roman's going to win, isn't he?
Yeah. It's also got the stipulation of if Jay loses, Jimmy and Jay have to do what Roman Reigns says as the tribal chief.
There might be some shenanigans, but Roman will win.
And Drew McIntyre, Randy Orton? Drew.
It's too soon to take it away from Drew.
Yeah. I think. Do you think he'll lose it before next year's WrestleMania, then regain it?
I don't know.
Because I wouldn't be opposed to them doing that, and then Drew McIntyre say winning the Elimination Chamber,
and then
getting in for his second WrestleMania and getting the pop that he deserved this year.
I think no matter what, he'll get the pop. Even if he's just defending, I think he should have a lengthy run. Give him a year, maybe a year and a half.
But he's defended it very well, hasn't he?
Yeah, he's a fighting champion. He's not like Brock Lesnar, turns up once every 5 months, defends it, and then disappears for another 5 months. He sticks around. Yeah.
So the third Hell in a Cell match is for the SmackDown Women's Championship, and is scheduled for one fall in a Hell in a Cell match. It is Bayley versus Sasha Banks. I love Bayley. I'm still a hugger, and I do like her heel persona.
She's really good heel. Good heel.
I predicted that it would go the opposite way, actually, with the heel face thing. I think Sasha Banks is a natural heel, but Bayley's definitely growing into it.
I don't like Sasha Banks.
That's what I mean. I think she's a natural heel.
No, I don't like her as a face or a heel.
No, but
I just think she's rubbish.
She's not rubbish, not by a long shot. She just hasn't.
Like her.
She just hasn't been given the time on the main roster because she had all her feuds with Charlotte.
They were the most boring things ever in wrestling. That their feud with Charlotte was just rubbish.
But did you ever watch the feud between Bayley and Sasha Banks on NXT?
I saw bits of it.
It was fantastic. Absolutely brilliant. And this has elements of that, except it's bringing a new element in it in the big red cell. And I honestly think that this might actually be really, really good.
Oh, it'll be a good match. They're both very talented wrestlers.
It was Sasha and Charlotte in a Hell in a Cell, wasn't it? Before.
Yeah. Was it the first ever women's Hell in a Cell?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that was it. That was a good match.
It was a good match, but...
And whether you like Sasha Banks or not, she is good.
I just turn off whenever I see her. I just don't like her. I don't know what it is. She just doesn't do it for me.
And it does come down to chemistry. You know, you could have two really good performers in the ring, and that goes male or female. And if they don't have the chemistry, you don't switch on.
A bit like Shinsuke and AJ at last year's WrestleMania.
Yeah, exactly like Shinsuke and AJ.
They didn't have the chemistry, did they? Even though they'd done the match before in New Japan.
But it was a different atmosphere, different place.
Yeah. And
it proves how much different Japanese wrestling to American wrestling is. Really, it does. It does. You know, Shinsuke, I don't think it was last year. It was when Shinsuke won the
Royal Rumble. It was either last year or the year before.
Can't remember.
I think it was last year.
It wasn't. It wasn't last year. It was because Asuka won the first ever women's Royal Rumble. That's been going for at least 2 or 3 years.
Yeah.
And again, all the makings of a great match, it just fell flat. And you can't put your finger on it, can you?
I'm trying to think of other ones.
But in terms of women, I have again been watching the year 2000. One of the most celebrated women's wrestlers of the time was Lita.
Yeah.
She had a big feud with Trish at the time. You watch their matches and it's painful. Like they're stopping before they hit a move. I know Trish was training at the time, but Lita was pretty much a veteran at that point. And they're like pulling. I know you can't see this, the audience, but like pulling the punches, waiting for it to happen, and then doing it. It was painful. And to say that was one of the most celebrated feuds in women's wrestling at the time, it obviously did get better, but it was painful. And that's why they put them with the guys for the time being. Like, it was 6-person tag matches and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And that's where the year 2000 fell down, because there was a lot of multi-man matches. The tag division was stacked. And that's where AEW are falling down now.
Yeah.
Lots of multi-tag team matches.
Yeah.
Don't need it. I love tag team wrestling. Always have done.
There's a place for it, isn't there?
And I was absolutely gutted to hear that Animal of the Legion of Doom had died.
That was sad.
But at least he died clean, which is not a usual thing for wrestlers of the era, really. Because there's a lot of bad things going around. Anyway, back to Sasha Banks and Bayley.
Oh, it'll be a fantastic match.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to this pay-per-view.
Because they're both very talented wrestlers.
Yeah.
And Bayley is such a good heel.
Yeah.
Like you say, maybe not have Sasha Banks as a face, maybe a heel feud, so she still does heelish things.
I think she'll still do heelish things. I think she'll still have the tendencies. I think it will switch at some point as well. I want to see the Bayley Buddies back.
I don't. I love Bayley as a heel.
Hashtag bring the Bayley Buddies back.
No, hey, Bayley's a really good heel.
Hashtag bring the Bayley Buddies back. Maybe she should have the Bayley Bullies. Then again, maybe that would
with ties on it. Yeah.
But then they wouldn't. I don't think Be a Star would be very happy about that, would they?
No.
Winner?
Bayley.
Okay.
I think they're building Bayley up.
I'll go with that. And the only two other matches that I can see on this is Jeff Hardy versus Elias.
Not bothered.
Obviously, Elias has made his return, and Jeff Hardy's...
Is he heel again then? Elias?
Yeah. It switches more heel face than Big Show at the moment. And Otis versus The Miz for the Money in the Bank contract.
No, I know The Miz is going to win, but I don't want him to. I want Otis to win because I love Otis, and I think he should win the title. I really do.
We knew that it was probably not going to be a thing when he'd actually won it, but it was a great moment of the year 2020.
Best moment of the year 2020 in wrestling. Otis winning the Money in the Bank, so good.
And that's all the matches we have on the card at the moment. So it looks like they're going to give decent time at this point in time to the Hell in a Cell matches, which is good.
Yeah. I think they all should run for about half an hour. Give them a good go. Maybe the I Quit match, give it a bit more like 4 or 5 minutes, because Jey Uso's very competent. So I really like where they're going with Jey Uso. I really do. You just need to be careful they don't do a Brock Lesnar with Roman Reigns and just have him do big move after big move and then win. They have to let him have a good match. Yeah,
and I think Jey Uso is making him do that because there's the chemistry there. There's the family.
They're actually family, aren't they?
Yeah, they're cousins. They're proper cousins. Yeah. All Samoans are cousins according to WWE and from the island. It's Vince McMahon. It's like, you're from Samoa, pal. You're going to be an islander.
I mean, Roman Reigns should have been a heel as soon as the Shield packed in, because nobody likes him. So play to that. Make him a heel.
Yeah.
If no one likes him, then have it like that. If you don't like him, is going to do bad things. He's going to be the heel.
Yeah, in terms of the Shield breakup, though, they did that really well with Seth Rollins.
Oh, yeah. And Seth Rollins is a really good heel as well.
And he likes to pull that face where he's like, his cum face. I think he did that when he impregnated Becky Lynch. Where he crosses his eyes and goes...
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's Hell in a Cell. So, Josh,
Yes.
what got you into wrestling?
Your mum.
Yeah?
I woke up, we were living in a pub in Ilkeston, and I would have been... Connor wasn't born yet, so I would have been around 5, maybe 6.
Yeah.
And I couldn't sleep, and I walked into my mum, and she'd just finished running the pub, and she was settling down to watch wrestling. And the first wrestler I ever saw was Triple H, and everyone was booing him. And Mum says, everyone's booing him, but I like him.
Triple H is awesome.
And it was during his entrance, and he was doing his bit with the bottle and spitting it, and
wouldn't get away with that in 2020, would you?
And that just got me hooked. Who was he against? I think he may have been against... No, it was too early for Chris Jericho. I think it might have been The Rock.
Yeah, quite possibly.
Because it was a Sunday night.
One of the greatest feuds.
I think it was The Rock. So yeah, that was my first experience of wrestling. And then I've just been hooked ever since. The whole family's on it. I mean, you've seen Connor on Cheap Shot Entertainment before.
Yeah.
He knows everything about wrestling. He can tell you stuff that happened 10 years before he was born.
I own Connor's face now. I've decided. He appears at the end of every Cheap Shot video. I own his face. Every time he goes out in public, he has to pay me 20p. Yeah. So
what was your first experience of wrestling?
Oh, I think when Sky first came over, I was into wrestling anyway. But I really got into the American style wrestling. Round about 1991, 92 when Sky came over. The heyday of the golden generation. You sort of Hulk Hogan's, Ric Flair, Shawn Michaels was coming in. You had Jake the Snake Roberts,
Doink
the Clown, Undertaker. Doink the Clown was a very accomplished wrestler.
The original Doink was, yes.
Very accomplished, and I will say this, and one of the reasons that I want to be a heel when I finally make my debut with Aspire is that I've gained an appreciation of the old school heels.
Yeah.
Doink the Clown. He's a clown. He's supposed to be happy. But he came out to the ring and squirted kids in the face with his little flower. And it was great. Yeah. It made them cry. And it was funny. I didn't find it funny at the time because I was like, supporting Crush or whichever dopey feud he was in. And the $1 Million Man. I've gained a massive appreciation of $1 Million Man. Ted DiBiase. Great wrestler.
Yeah.
Great persona. Really fit in with the times. Someone who's rich. Going through a patch where, people were not very well off at the time. And then you've got this guy wears like dollar signs on his suit and goes and just carries around a wad of money. Yeah. And goes, I'll give this kid $20 to bounce this basketball 10 times, and then kicks it away. It's great.
It is.
And then you paying Andre the Giant to win the championship for him. And it was brilliant. It's like, I really appreciate that now. But really, my love of wrestling was grounded in the old British wrestling.
Big Daddy.
Big Daddy. I was already a Big Daddy fan, but I've gained an appreciation for people like Les Kellett and the ones on the undercard.
Is it Big Daddy or
Giant Haystacks?
Which one's called Shirley?
Shirley Crabtree is Big
Daddy, yeah. So I was told by someone that when he was a kid, Big Daddy got a present from the Salvation Army.
Yeah.
and because his name was Shirley Crabtree,
Yeah.
he got a doll. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. That's fine. I didn't know that. That's
Yeah.
But yeah, I Rollerball Rocco and all those. Kendo Nagasaki. I've met him.
Yeah, we've met Kendo Nagasaki. You've got his book, haven't you?
Got his book. He even did a cheap shot.
Available on all good internet sites. That's a plug for your Kendo.
Yeah.
You won't pay him.
Even did a cheap shot signing for me.
He did, didn't he?
Which was great, and he's a really nice chap. Plus, my shoulders look awesome in that photo. I need to get back to that point.
That was it. Soccer and spandex,
Soccer
wasn't it?
and spandex, yeah. Something that
But he did turn up to an Aspire show as well.
he did, yeah, he did. I didn't talk to him then.
No.
But definitely talked to him at Soccer and Spandex. That was a wet day, wasn't it?
It was.
As we both absolutely adore football as well.
Yeah.
And to have both together, it's like wrestlers playing football.
It's brilliant. Hopefully we'll do it again next year because we'll have to go.
Yeah, and obviously it hadn't happened this year because it's usually around June and the pandemic's hit, and it's a lot of things that have not happened in terms of independent British wrestling, which has had a bad rap recently, but we won't talk about it because although I believe
we could talk about it all day.
I believe there's some realism to it. Having I'm on the inside of a wrestling company now, having spoken to various people, I believe there's some grounding for it, but I don't think it's been done the right way.
No.
However, the reason I love Aspire, I love being at Aspire, is because they have always done things the right way. Everyone's DBS checked.
Yep.
Everyone's, there's wrestling companies now that are saying, oh yeah, we're doing things right, we're changing the game. No, you should have been doing it before. But we love independent British wrestling.
We do. And hopefully it'll be back pretty soon.
Aspire is probably on top of that list.
Aspire is top of that list.
I'm very biased at this point in time. Followed closely by Future.
Yeah.
But I do not know the future of Future.
No.
Unfortunately.
Well, they've not got any overheads like Aspire do.
No.
So technically we could just start running once everything's done, they could just start running the shows again. Just get the people in.
But
like
they do pay their wrestlers at Future. Whereas Aspire, I think, only pay the ones that are top of the bill,
like
sort of
DDA
thing.
and
Yeah, when they get them in.
DDA and Ritmo. Maybe.
Yeah, which is why you don't see them very often. Although DDA was having a great heel run.
He was.
Last time we.
He told us off, didn't he?
Yeah, he did. I shouted something. He said, "Who said that?" I pointed to Josh, and he had a right go at you. It was dead funny. But he did mention Cheap Shot by name, so thank you, DDA. It's really sad that British wrestling has had the bad rep, and it's not been around in 2020 as much as we'd like, but times are different. And
they are.
I very much hope that it is something that comes back big time, have a second coming or a third coming, because it was very much a renaissance era anyway with British wrestling. You got NXT UK and all that kind of stuff. Even WWE got in on it. But yeah, so much. I've had so many good times with independent British wrestling in general.
Yeah.
Like I say, Drew McIntyre versus Ricochet on a WCPW show. I met Cody Rhodes.
Yeah.
I've met the Young Bucks and Adam Cole, baby.
You met the Wrestle Talk guys.
Wrestle Talk guys.
They
Tyler
aspire,
Bate.
They aspire to be like Cheap Shot Wrestle Talk.
Yeah, they do. They always want to be like Cheap Shot. Tyler Bate.
Yeah.
Met Tyler Bate. Had a photo with him. Who else? Matt Riddle. He's been to Hope Wrestling. Another company that I should mention, Hope Wrestling. Sort of the upper crust of the local companies, really.
I've met Doug Williams.
Yeah, I wish I'd had my first. That was my first ever Hope Wrestling show. Doug Williams was there, and I'd love Doug Williams, and I wish, like, I had the confidence that I have now to just get up in the ring and have a photo with him. Met
Rampage.
Yeah, Rampage. We met him.
That was hilarious.
Rampage,
have a picture. Have a picture, Rampage.
That was an impression of our mate Lee.
You've seen him on the channel before as well.
Dear. Trying to get a coffee. Can I have a picture? And we all joined in anyway.
No, I didn't. I went outside because I realised that he was trying to be a normal person and get himself a cup of coffee, and he's just got you three jumping on him like, let's have a picture.
Oh. But I did get pointed at when he won his championship.
That was a really good match. It was against that Japanese bloke, wasn't it?
And it was for the heavyweight championship.
Oh, what's his name?
Of WrestleGate.
What's the Japanese guy's name? Because he's done
Tanahashi?
not Shuji Ishihara.
Something like that, yeah.
If you've got a time, look on YouTube for Shuji Ishihara Ultimate bloodiest Japanese death match, and it is lethal. He is bleeding from head to toe by the end of this match. It is ruthless. Fantastic.
Sounds interesting.
Didn't we meet Joe Hendry as well at one of the...
I don't think I met Joe Hendry rather.
Did he walk past?
It was there. There was loads of wrestlers there.
There was another one who's not as big, who was selling T-shirts, and he wanted 22 quid for one, and I said no to.
Yeah.
So I wasn't paying 22 quid for a T-shirt that they want to know about.
Zaya Brookside I've met as well. I had to pay for that though.
And because you got all three of them to do it, didn't you? Zaya Brookside.
No, Zaya Brookside didn't do it. It was Nightshade, Jade,
and
Silesia Sparks.
Shax.
I didn't get Shax. It was
Did you
Silesia
not?
Sparks.
Was Shax not there?
No.
We met Shax though.
Yeah, Shax is cool. She's retired now. Going out with Chief Deputy Dunn.
Okay. We met them as well.
Yeah.
Anti-Fun Police.
Anti-Fun Police, of course. Los Federales Jr. is now retired as well.
Oh.
He
was brought. Can you remember when we went to that one in Nottingham City Centre?
Yeah, the one that was Wrestling in Art, whatever. I can't remember what it's called.
Was it Wrestling Resurgence?
That's the one.
He came out
in the Contemporary.
It was a 6-man hardcore match, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And he came out with a metal detector, and he was detecting everyone. And was it Rocky? Was it Rocky Mack who had the tinfoil stuff down his shorts?
Yeah, possibly.
And he would go beep 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 beep. Oh, it was hilarious.
Yeah, there's some great comedy wrestlers.
And he never drops character, does he? Even when he's talking to you afterwards. See.
Yeah. But yeah.
Sorry.
And that was a brief interlude by Josh's arse. He's playing the trumpet.
That's gonna stink. It does stink. That is horrible. Oh.
Oh dear. Right, anyway, so that is our groundings in wrestling, and like I say, I've really learned that wrestling and horror go hand in hand. The more I think about it, the more I talk to people, the more we talk about wrestling and horror movies at the same time. So you wanted to talk about something with regard to horror, didn't you?
Yeah, I believe that all good horror films should have an element of comedy to them.
Yes.
Like Scream.
Yeah.
Like Child's Play.
Yes.
To an extent, Freddy Krueger, Nightmare on Elm Street.
He didn't get the comedy until a bit later, though.
Yeah, but they were good. But you don't want films to be so funny like The Grudge. You don't want to just sit there laughing all the way through them. You want to have a little chuckle, but you want to be a bit scared as
The
well.
reason that The Grudge was funny is because it was stupid. Everything stupid that people don't like about horror movies happened in The Grudge. This is the 2020 version of The Grudge, not the original.
Not the original. The original was half decent.
Yeah, let's ground this in reality. The original Grudge, the Japanese version, is good.
The new one is just funny.
The new one is shite.
I mean, it's like Blackwater Abyss. That was just... I literally was going to get up and leave the cinema because it was that bad. There was no comedy element to it. There was no horror element to it. It was meant to be a horror film. They were trying to build tension, but they just did it so shit.
Yeah, there's a lot of things wrong about that movie that took you out of it because, you know, like, there was a dry part underwater when there was trying... Oh, there's a big crocodile. Let's swim towards its main layer. Yeah, that's a good way to get out, isn't it? Oh yeah, this guy's got a really debilitating illness. You wanted to feel sorry for him. No, just give us horror. I do agree with you to some extent about the comedy. I think it is a good element of horror.
I don't think they should be like laugh out loud funny all the way
No.
through. I just want to chuckle a little bit.
It should be tongue in cheek, but I will say this: films, some of my favourite films are just straight out psychological mess with you.
Have you seen Shutter Island?
Yes.
That is an excellent.
Yeah.
See that gets to my point because part of it they're going through one of the buildings, and a bloke just jumps out from behind the corner and goes boom.
Yeah.
And that made me chuckle, and it was a horror film.
Yeah.
But I had a little laugh. I thought, yeah that was really good.
But that's grounded in the psychological, obviously, with the twist at the end.
Yeah.
But what
We
about?
won't spoil it.
Do you think films like The Exorcist should have comedy in it?
I think The Exorcist was good without comedy.
Exactly. So.
And The Descent.
Yeah.
That was very good without any. Was there a bit of comedy in Descent?
There's probably a bit of light-heartedness, but that's different to comedy, isn't it?
Yeah. They were both very good.
It's different to comedy, so yeah, I think that's all right. I think that's a fair comment. I think I like my horrors with a little bit of tongue-in-cheek humour. I do. But then I like my full-on horror movies as well.
Like The Ring.
The original Grudge.
Exorcist. You already mentioned that.
Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
See, there's no comedy in that at all. That's
No.
literally just a bloodbath, and it's fantastic.
And things. But yeah, I mean, then you go to the other end of that scale. Excuse me. To the other end of that scale, and you've got things like Tucker and Dale versus Evil.
I've not seen that one.
Decent, but it's quite nasty, but it's all comedy because obviously there's the twist that the college kids standard in horror movies. College kids think that Tucker and Dale are these hillbilly types,
Yeah.
and there's lots of funny things that happen that make them think that, and it's all accidental and coincidental, and it's quite funny.
Like a scary movie then, it's meant to be funny, but there's a little bit of horror there.
Scary Movie is a satire of the slasher craze of the late 90s, isn't it?
But if you was a kid watching that, you wouldn't get scared.
No, it's funny. It's funny as, and I really like Scary Movie. I think it's fantastic, and I can laugh out loud at every single thing that happens in that movie. It's great.
Yeah. Excellent. They made a few of it, didn't they?
Yeah, I think they got a bit
after
carried away.
It got a bit samey, but the first couple were really good.
They got carried away with it, didn't they?
I'm not seeing The Descent 2, to be fair.
I've been told it's really bad.
Another one that we say is a horror, but it was really funny, The Babysitter on Netflix.
That is a horror, but that is a comedy horror. It is.
Made me roll that did.
It has elements. It knows its audience. It knows who it wants to play to. The reason that horror movies don't work sometimes is that they try too many different things, and they don't. They want to hit every audience, but they don't quite know the audience that they want to hit.
Yeah.
I think that is something that plagues horror movies. And I'm going to say something really controversial here. Going back to 2020, one of the horror movies that was released was The Invisible Man.
Terrible.
And it got universal praise. Everyone loves it. And you just said terrible, so I'm going to assume that you thought the same thing as me.
I did.
It was awful. It had a good premise for The Invisible Man. It brought it into 2020. I love that. The main heroine, great actor. Can't think of her name now.
It was. I wanted to say Sigourney Weaver, but that
It's
was
not
Ready
Sigourney.
or Not.
It's not Sigourney Weaver. Sigourney Weaver isn't in Ready or Not.
Someone
That's
called
Samara Weaving.
That one. That one.
Samara Weaving, who was in The Babysitter. Sigourney Weaver is in Alien. Again, I watched that film the other day, and it was great. One of the very first female protagonists, survivors, badasses in cinema history was Ellen Ripley.
Yeah.
Played by Sigourney Weaver. And Samara Weaving is slowly becoming one of my favourites.
She's very good. She was in Ready or Not. She was in...
Again, another good film.
Recent
times.
What's it called? Bill and Ted. She was in Bill and
Yeah.
Ted.
Again, another good film. If you want something to watch that is just, just
Fun.
kill some time. It's fun. It's quite funny. It pokes fun at itself. It's really good.
I think back to horror films. I think the only one that did multiple movies and got it excellently right on all of them was Final Destination. It stopped at 5, and they were all excellent in their own right.
I recently watched Final Destination again, and it wasn't as good as I remember.
But no
I'll be
films are
honest.
when you watch them a second time. 'Cause you
I
start
used to watch it
picking
all
holes
the
in them.
time now. I've got it on DVD. I used to watch it all the time. And like I say, I watched it again recently. Maybe it's my recent change in horror taste because I'm watching more movies. But it certainly was not as good as I remember it. Great premise. The idea that you can't escape what's coming because it's death.
Yeah.
And it's death.
You
that's
cheat
doing
death,
the
death comes for you.
Yeah.
I
Love
thought
that.
it was excellent.
The opening is great. But even that got a bit ham towards the end. I'm just going to grab this big cable here. Nothing bad could happen, could it?
See, the fifth one, I watched it with my brother, and one of the close to the end deaths falls through a escalator
Yeah.
and gets crunched and killed that way.
Yeah.
So every time my brother goes on the escalator, I say Final Destination to him and he runs up it. He gets proper scared about it.
Yeah, and that's what the Final Destination movies did well. The deaths were fun. I mean, talking about fun death. We are talking about horror movies here. It is one of the elements that will plague horror movies in those kind of situations. And usually the teen horror movies have elements, there's stalker or whatever. It's
Yeah.
always been a thing where, people die. And that's one of the things that horror movie fans gravitate to. The deaths are cool.
Yeah.
The deaths are cool. They're fun. That's one of the things that I have to relate to when I'm watching a horror movie. There is obviously the psychological element, this paranormal.
I love a good psychological horror. Like, say, Shutter Island is one of my favourite films of
Shutter
all
Island.
time.
Silence of the Lambs.
Yeah.
I'd say that's more thriller, but it does have elements of horror in it.
Does.
I mean, we're talking about Cannibal Doctor here.
Would you class Shaun of the Dead as a horror film, or would you call it a
Comedy horror. Definitely. It's full on
If you
comedy
wanted
horror.
to just start watching anything that like was a little bit scary but not too serious, Shaun of the Dead's a good place to start.
Absolutely. If you're looking to start somewhere, that is definitely one of the things. And we can go to the creature features as well, because you've got things like The Thing, John Carpenter.
Yeah.
The Shining. Obviously that's not a creature feature. I've watched recently The Void, very good film, creature feature. Alien, the original, very much slash and stalk.
Yeah, the original Alien was really good.
Aliens is just gone full on horror.
Not sure if I saw that one, because we were talking about it, weren't we?
Yeah, it's in the 80s. Big muscles, big guns, fighting aliens. Nothing more that you want from an 80s movie, is there?
No.
And obviously, Predator came out around the same time as that.
Yeah, Predator was
Rambo, Predator, those kind of films were big in the 80s. The 70s had a lot of really good horror movies. The 80s went a bit campy with horror movies, but it still had some good ones. Friday the 13th.
Friday the 13th still holds up. And to this day, I can't sleep on a bunk bed on the top bunk because of, is it Kevin Bacon?
It's Kevin Bacon.
Yeah, when he gets stabbed through the bed, when I go to bed, I have to check underneath just to make sure. That happened. That went on for about 6 months after I watched it with my granddad.
Brilliant. But yeah, I always remember being scared of Nightmare on Elm Street. I think that was one of the first movies I ever saw.
See, because of what it was, I put that on in my mum's house, and she came downstairs and she saw it was on. She went absolutely apeshit. She said, "Dad, I don't want that on my telly."
I had an older brother, so he was watching these films when I was younger. I probably shouldn't have been watching them, but you know, got an older brother, so he was like, "Oh, come and watch this film, it's great." Cheers, man. You certainly made me into the horror movie buff that I am. And I've bonded a lot with people over horror movies, more so horror movies than any other movie.
Yeah.
Type, any category or.
It's just captivating, isn't it? Escapism for a bit. It's like it's not real.
No, but
Possibly could be real.
yeah, and horror movies borrow a lot from real life.
They do.
And it's great, and I love them. I absolutely love horror movies.
Ever see Lake Placid?
Yes.
They're good films.
Good in a fun way.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
You get to see Roxanne Pallet's Tatas.
Yeah, and yeah, same with Anaconda. It's fun in a good way.
Yeah. The Snakes on a Plane.
Snakes on a Plane's great because you got Samuel L. Jackson screaming about snakes on a plane with a few choice words in place.
Didn't they do a sequel to that, like Something on a Train?
Snakes on a Train. I don't think it was a direct sequel. I think whenever, this is the thing with horror movies, whenever something does reasonably well, loads of other people will jump in and do like budget of $500 films. When The Conjuring came out, and The Nun in particular, and Annabelle, how many films then tried to use haunted dolls, evil dolls, and scary nuns to get a quick cash in on it? Oh, look, this is Nun. I like that. The Nun is not very good, by the way.
No.
And like, oh, we'll put that in a box set. People will mistake it. We'll call it The Nun, and then like write little letters underneath it. It's like The Nun of Moloch Kintyre or whatever.
It's like that really crap one we watched where they had to change the name.
Yeah.
Everyone thought it was crap. So
Dead Inside.
Dead Inside.
I've still got 2 more movies to watch in that box set. I picked up a box set for £1 in a charity shop It's like, yeah, it's £1. Let's have that.
The first one was diabolical, so I don't know what the other two are going to be like.
And I do, I laugh about this, and I've had like conversations with people I don't even know about horror movies on some popular social media sites about particularly Resident Evil films.
They're very good. The games are good as well.
The games are great. The first one's fun. The rest of the films are atrocious. They're obviously the director had an idea, and they got a cash in on the first one. People watched it, and then they saw that and went, "Oh yeah, let's make another 6."
Yeah.
They're not good. Like by the third one, Alice is like flying and shit, and what,
The Omen did well. 3 films, 4 films if you include the latest one with the little girl that turned. Well, it was a little girl, wasn't it?
I don't know.
Wasn't she his daughter or something? I don't know.
Possibly.
But the thing the Omen did wrong was the ending.
Mm.
He just went into a church and stabbed him in the back. It was crap.
Did he actually end up stabbing him though? I haven't seen. I know he went to try.
It's been a while since I watched it, but I'm pretty sure he literally just stabbed him and that was it.
I know he went to try, but there's definitely an ending where Damien's still alive though. It's the ending that I've seen. Because otherwise they wouldn't be able to do the Omen 2 and 3. But the Omen's great.
At the end of Omen 3.
Oh right, okay.
Yeah, he stabs him in the back at the end of Omen 3.
I haven't got to that point.
Everything. Oh, well, I've spoiled it for you.
I haven't watched them, so
everything from the start of 1 to the end of 3, up to him dying, was excellent. Put together really well.
Okay.
Edge of your seat stuff.
Sort of stopped on that one.
It's just an anticlimax.
The first one's great. So. In terms of horror, recently we've been, I don't think it's going to happen this year because, obviously, coronavirus and all that kind of stuff. We've been going to a local cinema called The Quad in Derby.
Yep.
And last couple of years we've watched a horror movie marathon, haven't we? Dead and Breakfast.
It's not on this year, is it?
I haven't even checked, to be honest, mate. But
I'm not sure if I'd feel comfortable going either.
I don't think we'll be going. Because I need to book it off work, and it's not a thing I can do a week before. But yeah, that's always been good. It's just a big laugh in it.
Pan's Labyrinth last year was very good, a Spanish movie.
Yeah, Guillermo del Toro. Very good. It's just fun. I like horror movies. They're fun, and they go hand in hand with wrestling, and it's great, and I love it. Anyway, probably going to have to call that there because we're probably going to need to go and get some breakfast.
I'm hungry.
So, thanks for listening. I know it's been a long while since we've done a confession session / Talk is Cheap for Cheap Shot Entertainment, but thank you for joining me, Josh.
Yep.
Not that you had much choice because you're lying in the bed. Single bed next to my double bed. Should make that very clear. Thanks for listening. I've been your host, Luke. That has been my bottom, letting out a fart. And we'll hopefully do some more very, very soon. I've got some people lined up that really want to do a podcast, more based on wrestling. So we'll do that, and we'll say goodbye. So
goodbye.
Take care of yourselves. Stay safe. Stay socially distant from people. Keep your masks on. And scare the shit out of people at Halloween. We'll leave you there. Thank you.
That happened at the appropriate time, didn't it?